Good evening. Good evening. We're so glad to have you all. My name is Greg Ferris. I am president of the Forney ISD Board of Trustees. I hereby call this Board of Trustees meeting to order. It's now 7 p.m. We do have a quorum present at this time. It has been posted in the time and manner required by law. Our monthly meetings are open to the public. Although these meetings are public, comments and questions from the audience will be confined to the time designed for citizens to address the board. Again, thank you for being here. I would like to thank also our entertainment we had this evening. That was Miss Hannah Houston. Hannah is the daughter of Richard and Shelley Houston and attends Ray Elementary, where she's a 6th grader. She enjoys drawing, reading, playing the piano, singing, writing, and painting. Thank you, Hannah, for the music that you provide this evening. We appreciate you. Moving on to item 3A here, we have Byron Milligan with us. Byron Milligan, there he is, and he serves as student pastor for Lake Point Church of Forney. He has been part of the Forney family for 20 years and is a 2002 Forney High School graduate. He also holds a degree from Mid-America Christian University. Byron has celebrated 10 years of marriage to Melanie. Together they are blessed to have 2 children, Harper, age 4, who attends Forney Learning Academy, and 1-year-old Brady. Byron stated, and he said, I have seen Forney grow so much over the years, and I feel like God brought me here to invest in students' lives. As a student pastor for 8 years, I love getting to build relationships with students and help them walk through these challenging years as teenagers. Lake Point Church has adopted Warren Middle School as their partner campus. They help Wednesday mornings for the rivals. They support teachers and help monitor. They help provide lunches for staff and teachers. And they also help with the Fellowship of Christian Students meetings on Tuesday mornings before school. We're thankful to have Lake Point as one of our partner families. At this time, would you all rise as Byron leads us in our opening invocation.
Thank you for having me here. Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for these men and women in this room today. I pray for wisdom and clarity as we have the opportunity to make an impact in students' lives, Lord. And I just pray for our teachers. I pray for our faculty. Let it be a meeting tonight that is able to impact not only the students' lives, but one day impact the world around us. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together tonight. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Byron. You may be seated. We do have lots of recognitions tonight also to share, and so at this time, we'd like to recognize our students of the month. And first of all, to introduce those to us, I would like to call Ms. Kim David, Director of Early Childhood, to the podium, Mrs. Stacy Joseph, Director of Virtual Learning and Media Services, and then Mrs. Rachel Bonner, Principal for Criswell Elementary. So if you people would step forward at this time.
You ready? Good evening, and thank you, School Board and Dr. Terry. I have the pleasure to introduce our pre-K student, Silas Smith, this evening. Silas was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and moved to Forney when he was 2 years old. Silas is a model student in and out of class. He's always willing to help his teachers as well as fellow students. He enjoys school and is a rule follower to the T. He always has a positive attitude and a bright smile. Silas often speaks of his dad, who serves in the Navy. Silas is kind, smart, and an absolute joy to have on our campus. He currently plays soccer for Forney Soccer Association and is on the Renegades team. In addition to soccer, Silas loves his family, friends, Minecraft, playing outside, learning new things, problem solving, and using his imagination to build innovative creations with his Legos. All of these outstanding characteristics will surely end up seeing Silas excel in Forney ISD.
Good evening, School Board and Dr. Terry, and thank you for this opportunity to recognize Jackson Rose as Forney Learning Academy's Secondary Outstanding Student of the Month. Some of you remember Mr. Rose from our opening night of FLA, and as you can see, is a student that is willing to go above and beyond whenever necessary for our campus. When it was time to select our student, I had no doubt that Mr. Rose has earned this reward. Jackson is exemplar of Forney values embodied in a student. Jackson is a diligent student who is always positive about moving forward and is a good example of what students can achieve in our district's goals program. Jackson's parents, Tish and Richard Rose, have lived in Forney for many years. Jackson has been with us since he was in kindergarten and has attended Blackburn, Smith, Ray, Warren, Forney High, and is now at our Forney Learning Academy in our Groves program. Jackson has 3 younger brothers in FISD. Morrison attends our pre-K program at FLA, Leland is at Ray, and Colton is attending Forney High School at this time. Jackson is a senior and will graduate by the end of next week. Upon his completion of high school, Mr. Rose will attend college to prepare himself to enroll in the United States Air Force in Colorado Springs. Jackson hopes to use his career to serve his country. Thank you again for this opportunity to share about our outstanding student.
Good evening, school board, Dr. Terry, and parents. I would like to take this opportunity to spotlight a Criswell student. Brooke Hackenjose is a 5th grade student at Criswell. She is the daughter of Ronald Hackenjose and Candace Hackenjose. She has attended Criswell since kindergarten. She has been part of the Criswell Honor Choir for the past 2 years, a member of student council for 2 years, and a member of the Mustang Milers. Outside of school, Brooke enjoys playing volleyball for the Lady Falcons. She also likes to paint. Her favorite subjects in school are math and science. When Brooke grows up, she would either like to be a counselor, a teacher, or a nurse. When asked to describe Brooke, her teachers say she is extremely kind and considerate. She is the first to offer a student to join a group when she sees another student needs to be included. She is sweet and respectful. She is a hard worker, puts forth effort, and always strives to do her best. One teacher stated she is an absolute joy to have in class. Brooke, we are blessed that you are a Criswell Mustang, and we know you have a wonderful future in store for you. Congratulations on being chosen as the Elementary Student of the Month.
If you'd all rise, we'll have our pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In honor of the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I'd like the students and the parents to come forward. We have a certificate and a photo. Okay, moving on then to student recognitions. Mr. Mario Luna is not able to be with us. Ms. Judy Weber will be stepping in for him. First, we'd like to recognize here under item 4, Texas Art Education Association of Visual Arts Scholastic Event State Qualifiers. Ms. Judy Weber.
Each year, the Texas Art Education Association sponsors at statewide high school art competition for students in grade 9 through 12. Students compete against each other in 4 divisions for Art 1, 2, 3, and 4. This year, our region, Region 10 East, had 1,730 artworks competing for those. From the 1,730 works entered, 128 advanced to area. Of those 128, 1 from North Forney High School and 3 from Forney High School were chosen. Here to recognize Forney High School state finalists, Chloe Aparato, Mandris Lopez, and Tiffany Turner. And here to recognize North Forney state finalists for this year is Kelly Holcomb.
And my one student from North Forney High School, Miss Brooke McLemee. She's a 9th grader.
This time, we're moving on then to item 2, Academic All-State for Basketball. Mr. Neil Weaver will make presentations at this time.
Thank you, members of the board, Dr. Terry. It's always a pleasure to recognize, as we do, members of any of our athletic teams who receive recognition at the state level. Texas is a very big state, with tens of thousands of student athletes participating, so always when a student achieves a recognition at the state level, it is important, and we're very pleased to recognize them. In this case, we will begin, and I'll ask Bart Holloway, our head boys basketball coach at Forney High School, to come up and assist with receiving these students as they receive their award from Mr. Ferris. The first 2 students, a gentleman and a lady, have been recognized as Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State. To be nominated for Academic All-State, a student has to be a high-achieving, contributing member of their varsity athletic team. In this case, the sport of basketball, they have to receive an A average in all of their classes, coursework, typically a 92 or above throughout their coursework. They also, the Texas High School Coaches Association also takes into account test scores, and certainly coaches in nominating process take into account the student's overall attitude and aptitude. So there are a lot of things that go into it, but certainly we are very proud to recognize as THSCA Academic All-State Honorable Mention from Forney High School Boys Basketball, Mr. Corby Felice. Joining Corby at the front, we are also pleased to recognize from the girls' high school basketball team at Forney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, Academic All-State, Honorable Mention, Miss Madeline Milby. I'd like to invite parents up. If you would, please join us at the front for a photograph. Moving on, we have another state qualifier, and in this case, it is a special honor indeed. I'll ask Garrett Roberson, our head powerlifting coach at Forney High School, to come up and help with this one. Not just a state qualifier for Forney High School this year, but the rare achievement of state champion in powerlifting. Miss Sadie Hewitt, would you come join us, please? Not only is she state champion, but she's a repeat state champion, and she's a multi-sport athlete. You may recognize her. Congratulations, Sadie. Parents, if you would, join us, please. We'll grab a picture real quick. Thank you.
Step in again for Mario. We're excited to announce that recently the High Steppers were named the HTE Dance Tops in Texas and National Grand Champion winners. For those not familiar with dance team competition, Tops in Texas goes to the team with the highest score for 3 routines from the entire contest season, regardless of classification. There were over 100 studio and school teams to compete with this season. The Forney High Steppers were the top scoring team of the year with the average of 96.66667. To win Tops in Texas, it's extremely challenging to accomplish once, but this is the 3rd consecutive year for the Tops in Texas winners for the High Steppers. This team's worked very hard since June. They've been up early every morning. Please congratulate these ladies on their accomplishment.
Big smile.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It's always exciting to spend time recognizing all your accomplishments and all your achievements, so we appreciate the parents and the students for taking time to be here. Moving on, then, we're going to move on down to item 5, public forum. At this time, no one has signed up to address the board, so we're moving on then to item 6, which is our reports. The next 5 items under this are reports only, require no action from the board. First here, item 6A, monthly financial report. Mr. John Chase.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. The monthly financial report for the activity through February 28th was presented in your board packet for review. Just the highlights of the report. We had $4.2 million of revenue for the month, significant amount less than the past 2 months. Our tax collections are starting to taper off at this point. Expenditures was $10.7 million for the month. We had a big land purchase this past month. It's one of the reasons why that's a lot higher than it has been in previous months in comparison. And so year-to-date revenue recognized is $64.4 million, or 74% of the amount estimated. and that's exactly in line with where we were at the same point in time last year. Total expenditures was $61.3 million, or 67% of the amount appropriated, and that's about 4 percentage points higher than in the prior year. And again, that's related to the land purchase that we had last month. Moving on to the debt service side, we had $1.7 million of revenue recognized for the month. We had $5.3 million of expenditures. This is when we make our big semi-annual interest payment on our bonds that are outstanding. So that pretty much concludes the activity in this fund for the rest of the year. As far as year-to-date totals, we had $20.5 million of revenue recognized, or 99% of the amount estimated, and we had $18.7 million expended, which is 100% of the amount appropriated. So both of those percentages are in line with where we were at the same point in time last year, and it's pretty much the activity in this fund is pretty much over with at this point. Moving on to the cash and investments report for the month, we had with the general fund, food service, debt service, and capital project funds, total cash and investments on hand was 65.1, or just under $65.1 million. And that concludes the financial report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Any questions? Okay, moving on to 6B, the Forney Focus Update. Ms. Judy Weber, Chief of Learner Services.
This is our time where we update you on the many things we've done over the last few months. We have a video for you. There's a little bit different. We've highlighted some of the individuals in our various departments. We've done some really outstanding things that really support our board goals.
"2019 is moving fast, and summer is just around the corner. A lot has happened since 2019 started, and we wanted to bring you another Forney Focus update to keep you informed on our school district's progress. We'd like to start by sharing some recent success stories. Our students have been busy. First, we hosted our first district Spanish spelling bee on Saturday, March 23rd. The winner of the district event will represent Forney ISD at Region 10. This year, our Synergy students were selected to present at the TASB conference in Galveston on the importance of student voice and represented Forney ISD well. Our high school Special Olympics athletes were presented their letter jackets in special ceremonies at Forney High School and North Forney High School. Next, on March 6th, over 40 students from our secondary campuses, along with teachers and staff, attended the Lead Worthy Live event in Grand Prairie. Lead Worthy Live aims to put the best students and their course leaders in the same space so they can be equipped and inspired to #BeRemarkable. During basketball season, both North Forney boys and girls basketball and Forney High girls basketball were both successful in receiving playoff berths, advancing to bi-district. This was the first playoff berth for Forney High School girls basketball since the 2009-2010 season. North Forney girls basketball made it to the regional tournament by defeating Waco University, Lufkin, and Texas High. The Forney ISD swim and dive team finished another successful season with the largest number of participants and highest success rate the program has experienced to date. 3 divers representing North Forney High School and Forney High School, a Forney High individual medalist, and a Forney High boys relay team all advanced to the UIL State Swim and Dive Meet in Austin. In addition to our student success, our staff has been recognized as well. TCEA recognized our very own Stacy Joseph as one of the only 3 statewide finalists for Instructional Technology Specialist of the Year. Blackburn special education teacher Molly Casper had an article published in a professional journal about the parent monthly dinner and meeting she started last year. Dana Curry, our community partnerships coordinator, received the Helping Hand Award from the Chamber of Commerce for her continued service to the Forney community. The communications department won several gold, silver, and bronze Texas School Public Relations Association STAR Awards for photography, writing, and video production at the state level. Kristen Zastapel, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, presided over the conference as the 2018-2019 TSPRA President, a 900-member state association. And finally, Canvas, the learning management system, requested that Forney ISD present to Canvas users across North Carolina, sharing our elementary implementation. In our Innovation and Information Circle, Forney ISD launched a new website in January with plans to launch an integrated mobile app this spring. Pastors and PTO presidents collaborated in February to begin planning for staff appreciation in May and our second annual Back to School Bash. In partnership with Eastfield, Forney ISD is the first to offer a high school level CNA program through Dallas County Community College District. Dual credit enrollment for the 2019-2020 school year is up to 819 dual credit courses, which is 195 more courses than last year. Currently, we have 60 12th grade students who will obtain more than 36 hours of college credit, giving them the opportunity to graduate in May of 2019 with an associate's degree. In an effort to vertically align STEM programs district-wide, 5th and 6th grade students will engage in VEX and HEX robotics curriculum during their intermediate coursework. Also, to ensure restorative practices change behaviors, we are using Hollywood movies to relate to students through our character education program. The clips are used to assist teachers in creating an engaging learning circle of social-emotional learning, critical thinking, ethical choices, and moral action. Learner Services, in partnership with Synergy, has built Makerspace carts. They are complete and being delivered to campuses. We have added an additional elementary life skills unit at Claiborne Elementary to accommodate the growth in numbers. Teachers, administrators, and parents have been collaborating to refine the K-4 dual language program being relocated to Criswell in August of 2019. Principals and district leaders have had data dashboards delivered to them. We have been programming and implementing Forney Focus 2.0 advanced courses in all core areas, with acceleration in math, STEM electives, band, art, choir, and fundamentals of athletics. Financial services. The district's bond rating was upgraded from A to A+ by Standard & Poor's in March. The Department of Agriculture recently conducted a procurement review of the district's food service program, and we met all of the school nutrition program purchasing requirements. We are excited about what the future holds with the purchase of 320 acres for future school sites. On January 22nd, our K-4 campuses and 2 intermediate principals participated in a teacher selection process to allocate for our new grade configurations. Everyone is excited about the opportunity to build a culture of excellence with their new staff. The new scoreboard in Citibank Stadium is completely installed and functioning. It looks and sounds amazing. We are currently updating intercoms to improve functionality. Since several of our campuses do not have a direct line of sight to the front door, this system allows for two-way communication with video to each campus front door from the phones in the front offices. Our Safety and Security Committee held their last meeting for this year on Tuesday, February 26th. Thank you for all the collaboration and input in setting goals for the district. We have made significant progress in providing a safer environment for students and staff. The administration has proposed a comprehensive district-wide professional development plan with the Flippin Group that will span over the next 2 years. These trainings will support our core value of building relationships first and will train 100% of our staff that will include teachers, administrators, and all auxiliary staff. The proposal will include multiple training offerings such as Capturing Kids' Hearts, Leadership Blueprint, Winning Culture, and Process Champions. The Threat Risk Assessment Tool is a comprehensive student threat assessment tool. It is a multi-tiered tool that facilitates the assessment by school administration, school resource officers, and counselors to identify and assess target threats or the risk of target threats on facilities or people. This software gives the district the ability to design a comprehensive plan, track the plan, and provide the necessary advocacy and resources for a resolution. The Anonymous Alerts student reporting service is simple, secure, and enables students, parents, staff, or community members to quickly report incidents related to bullying and harmful behaviors that warrant immediate attention by school officials. It is customizable and has 2 communication features that allow for dialogue between the anonymous student and administrators. Usability for district personnel is easy through a web interface. Notifications will be distributed to administrators and SROs at various levels depending on the severity of the report. Anonymous Alerts is David's Law compliant.
As you can see, we've been really busy the last few months, as we always are, but we tried to give you a little bit of focus and spotlight on the various students and some of our teachers and our leaders that are really fulfilling our board goals. Do you have any questions at this time?
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Any questions from the board? We can all just say, that's a lot of stuff.
It's always exciting to look back and see what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. Moving on then to 6C, the master planning update. Ms. Kim Warzak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferris. Board, we'll actually start tonight's master plan update with an update from Von Gallagher, Gallagher Construction. Is Von in here? I guess I'll do the update for Von. I think he's up. I think he's in the hall. And now I'll present Mr. Von Gallagher from Gallagher Construction to do a brief update on our current projects.
I have to take credit for that. I was running on mine. Thanks for having me. I'll give us a quick report on Smith and Ray and run through those real quick. The things are going well. We're basically at an interior finish out stage with landscape to start soon. We've got the lighting fixtures in progress, interior glass in progress, paint, tape, and bed. The elevators are about complete. The plumbing's done, the fire alarm's going in, the technology stuff's going in, so things are going really well. We're pleased with the progress of where things are. Things to come, some flooring and final painting, and then the landscape, and then we hope to begin the final cleaning somewhere around the last week of April and get our punch list done so the addition will be done prior to the renovation work starting this summer. So, as you can see from the pictures, you can kind of see those finished items in progress. The stairs in the top right corner are going to be really a phenomenal feature. So I think they are going to be something to really be proud of once they're done and the glass handrails are done and everything's done around the perimeter. More pictures of that as well. You can kind of see the finish out on the side on the bottom right corner on the stairs. And then some of the finishes going in the rooms. We'll obviously wait on the flooring till later so it doesn't get damaged during the process. Any questions on Smith Array that I can answer?
What is VCT?
It's vinyl composition tile. It's tile like you'd probably see in the kitchen right in there. So it's in most of the schools here in the district. Sorry, I should have clarified that. Next, Johnson Elementary School. So we are currently trying to work through some plumbing issues in the kitchen area. We're trying to come up with some solutions on that. Plumbing's done a great job. It's been there a long time. Kitchens take a lot of wear and tear over the years. Maintenance department's done a fantastic job to keep that operational, keep it going, and that so forth, but there's going to have to be some things done. So we're currently looking into it with those guys, and we're trying to find the best solution that we can to keep that kitchen operation. We may look into taking some temporary measures from now till the end of school and then see how those work out, and then maybe make more permanent measures during the summer when school's not in, but hopefully we can find the best resolution for that to keep it in operation. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. In addition to Vaughn's update, we also have our spring demographer review, and Mr. Rocky Gardner is going to come up and present the adjustments that they have made based on our growth in our housing development. So, Rocky, thanks.
Appreciate that. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. I think this is our spring update, a little bit of a spring report. It felt like spring today finally. So we begin, like we always begin, just understanding the regional economy. Dallas-Fort Worth is still adding almost 100,000 jobs each year. So we've seen that annual number be consistent now for several years. Record unemployment rates, as you've read, and now we've got the housing peaking at just about almost 35,000 homes being built in Dallas-Fort Worth. When I say peaking, we have kind of plateaued a little bit, but that's often, we're probably going to stay right around that 35,000 number. In Forney, we've also looked at deed transactions, just turnover of existing homes. So this chart just shows where your existing home sales were, from October 17 to October 18. The darker the color, the more home sales. These are homes that have already been built and, are just turning over, and we're seeing yield changes there. If we compare that to 5 years ago, there's almost 300 more homes turning over this year than there were 5 years ago, but it makes sense given that we've been adding about 1,000 homes a year during that same time frame as well. So that's not a real big surprise there. We are seeing 1,148 annual starts in Forney ISD and 1,270 closings. Starts have, like I say, have tabled a little bit. We don't know if it's if it's weather. If you keep in mind, this was actually a fourth quarter data. Our first quarter data doesn't today technically is being the beginning of the second quarter, but the data doesn't come out until late April. But the fall is typically a little bit slower. You've got 1,813 VDL, and that's one thing that's been a challenge for a few builders, is just delivering lots to keep up with the pace. And of course, over 20,000 futures. And I mean, this is a moving target. The team at Forney is always sending us new updates from people they talk to, and we're trying to chase those leads as well. But 20,000 future lots are still on the rolls that we know about. In the fourth quarter, the starts dropped to 210 starts, so that was a little bit lower than what we saw a year ago. Again, we think weather-related and lot deliveries. Your closings stayed at 300, but we're talking about 1,270 closings. That's 400 more closings than was closed last year in Forney ISD. So strong closings. We don't know where that top is yet. Whether it's we've got to 1,270, we may plateau, but I think 3 or 4 years that Forney could possibly, with the economy stays right, could get to 1,500 homes. Where are those homes being built? It continues to be the same story. Devonshire, Travis Ranch, and Vintage Meadows each closed, right at 200 homes. Vintage Meadows is almost done there in the southern part of the district, but we still have plenty of futures in Travis Ranch and Devonshire. Windmill Farms, is in there. So they had some trouble delivering lots. And now they've delivered, and they're kind of going again. We've seen some swings there in Windmill Farms. 4,673 futures there. Again, that's another one. Depends on who you talk to. We've heard anywhere from 7,000 futures to 10,000 futures in Windmill Farms. So we've kind of chased those. At this point, it becomes a little bit irrelevant in a 10-year look. They're not going to build through 7,000 or 10,000, but just to know when you start talking through build out, there's still strong development out there. Vacant developed lots, like I said, this is where the next round of growth comes from. 891 closings in these 10 developments that have over 1,700 vacant developed lots. So this is where the next round comes from. Again, some of these are going to be finishing off, and some are Clements Ranch, Devonshire. They're still going pretty strong. Again, Windmill Farms with 191 VDL, so they can kind of crank things up again. And then, of course, we're future inventory, Windmill Farms, Devonshire, Trinity Crossing. There's a couple on their Polo Ridge Ranch with over 1,000 lots. There's also talk of another, I think it's a Spradley track that's right down there, just a little bit. You see this on the screen? Right north of, kind of northeast of Polo Ridge there's been talk of a Spradley track. We look for a development agreement. And so that's what our criteria for calling something a future is a development agreement, and that hasn't, hasn't happened yet with the Spradley track. We know that water is important. In talking to the Dallas County, it looks like they could have water as early as they told us 2021 would be optimistic. And so for some of those developments, it's going to be a few years before they begin to impact Forney. Again, now this chart summarizes where development has been in Forney, and going forward. Where you see colors, where you see growth. One thing I want to point out is the inventory column there. 518 homes in inventory. Now, of those 518, 219 of them are under construction. The remaining 300 of that inventory are homes that were finished but vacant at the end of the fourth quarter. So many of those are now being sold and occupied, but that 300 finished vacant is a pretty high inventory, and when builders see that, that's one reason we think that the starts slowed down a little bit in Forney. And so we could see that kind of flip a switch and begin to increase again come this summer when we hit the season. Forney ISD, again, 1,800 lots available to build on right now, over 20,000 planned future lots. And again, those planned future lots all have development agreements, and the groundwork's underway on 3,300 lots. So what I'm saying there is that of those futures, another 3,300 are being developed and will be delivered as VDL or vacant developed lots. Looking at where some of the activity's been, Devonshire with 3,549 futures, 52 homes were under construction at the end of December. 1,000 homes are occupied. They're yielding about 0.55 right now. That yield will likely increase a little bit, especially if you begin to look at some of the other developments around there. Clements Ranch with the 0.558 and a Travis Ranch, which is a little bit more mature. Their yield is now 0.756. So we're seeing some strong development. Clement Ranch just had 21 homes under construction into the fourth quarter. They slowed a little bit on lot deliveries, so that's going to be made up as well. 32 homes under construction in Travis Ranch. Again, strong building, but just a little bit slower than what we saw a year ago. If we look out at Windmill Farms, again, 7,000 total lots, 4,600 future lots. Their yield there is now almost one student per home. Now we have seen some developer purchased homes out there as well, or I don't know if they're developers, but there's that's a good sign that you're going to see some high occupancy, some high yielding homes, and that price range is very strong. And they just did 100 homes in the last year, but they could certainly get to back to 200 homes a year in Windmill Farms. Overland Grove with 1,074 future lots, phase one with groundworks nearing completion. They can build out in 5 to 8 years there in that price point, 275 to 400. That's on the south side in the Johnson zone. If we look at Trinity Crossing, 1,469 future lots. Phase one, 147 will be delivering this spring. Phase three is also going to deliver late in the spring, and then phase four deliver in this summer. So they've got approximately 100, 125 homes per year. The challenge is when we get so many active developments is we're still probably only going to get to 12 to 1,500 homes a year. So when they're all up and building, they're going to kind of cannibalize on each other a little bit. So we expect some to kind of table a little bit during that time. And if we look at Trailwinds, 452 total future lots. Preliminary plat was approved in October. That's D.R. Horton. So once they start moving, that's going to go really pretty quickly out there. From a forecast perspective, this forecast is now forecasting 755 new students next year. You can see that we're basing that on 11,133 students at the PEAM snapshot date. We see that number right at 700 students a year going forward. Could peak up near 800 in 5 to 6 years. It all depends on, we're thinking 15,000 by 2024. That 15,000 number, it's possible it could be hit in 2023, it could be hit in 2026. When you get beyond that 4-year number with the economy and the changes that we see, things get a little messier out there. But 10-year growth of 7,400 students in Forney, 18,535 students by 2028. We've also updated the enrollment. Now, we've updated these numbers now with the new grade configuration, so you can see there. The highlighted colors in yellow is when we expect you to be reaching or pretty close to capacity. You can see there that Lewis is going to be getting pretty tight by 22. Your intermediate schools is going to be pushed out probably to 2024, and even then you probably have a little bit of room. And then we're looking at middle schools. 1168 with Brown Middle School, so could get a little tight there in 2021. And again, this is low unemployment rates. The district start and close more than 1,000 homes annually for the first time. That's the first time we've seen that in both categories. Lewis and Crosby zones account for about 50% of all the annual closings. And we think that you can expect 5-year enrollment growth around 3,500 students, 18,500. We did add one more chart in here. I was kind of talking a little bit about development agreements, but the district has been very helpful in sending us information when they hear it, and then our team, they try to track it down. So these are a few other developments that we know about that we don't count as part of our 20,000 futures because they don't have development agreements yet. But Shenandoah Farms, 831 total lots, Whaley Farms, 1,278 total lots, and Costello Farms with 442 lots are also on the horizon in Forney. With that, I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? I guess not. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update and all the information. Ms. Morzak?
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6D, then marketing and advertising report.
This time I want to invite up Ms. Kate Kyrlieber. As many of you know, Kate is the Executive Director of the Forney Education Foundation, but she also serves a dual role and serves as the Coordinator of Business Partnerships with the district. She's been working very hard to put together a plan to help sell ads for the district in all of our different areas. And she's going to kind of walk through that advertising plan with you guys. I believe you have a draft copy as well. Okay?
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Mr. Ferris and board. What I would like to do is go through this plan that we've devised for you guys. This is the draft. The pricing points and the information in the brochure will not change. However, the graphics and the design may change as we finalize our plans over the next week. We do plan to roll this out on the 8th, which is next Monday, and then also have completion. Our calendar will match our fiscal year so that we're not having to prorate any of these contracts. So we're looking to have these sponsorships in place and completed by July 1. This gives you a rundown of what we're looking at as far as the numbers. We wanted to give people who may be interested in advertising opportunities within the district, what are they really going to get for their money from an athletic standpoint, as well as a website and a district-wide standpoint. These statistics cover every category that we are proposing within this document that would be covered by their advertising funds. We also are offering a 20% discount for all 5-year contracts. We've looked at this, we've looked at our contingent liability, we have ran the analytics, and we have found that if we can, and through research with other districts, if we can really get them on the hook for a 5-year contract, they're more likely to re-up for dual years. So we are offering that upfront discount. That will also bring down our contingent liability that we had from the beginning from the board, from the school board that you saw in the video. So in this plan, we are planning to generate that revenue, that $700,000 within a 5-year time span. All of our sponsorship contracts, and as we've done our research, this is a standard across many districts that we've researched, a 3-year contract. This is mostly just from a signage standpoint. If there's any type of sign as far as a banner or a metal sign that will go onto a district property, we don't want to have to be creating that sign annually. So we would like to put the 3-year contract in there just from a cost standpoint, not having to redo that sign annually. These are our packages that we have district-wide. Now, as far as our e-newsletter, that's obviously going to our employees. We are the largest employer in Kaufman County. Our district website and app, our app will launch in August. It will be available to every student and parent in the district. We're projecting a possible 11,000 downloads of that app. And then our buses, this is something that many districts are going to. Obviously, you're talking about a billboard on wheels. We have looked at liability and think that is a good step and measure going forward as far as our buses. They will cover 85 square miles. So if you think about the coverage you're going to get from bus advertising, it's a good price. Our packages, we did kind of give our businesses a one-stop shop, if you will. They go from $20,000 to $5,000, and you can see everything that's included listed below. Our athletic field, this is just for Citibank Stadium. The anchor spots that you see on the bottom, those will obviously be the 4 spots that you saw in the video that do not scroll. We have the ability to grid our new scoreboard. We also have the ability, unlike a lot of school districts in the state of Texas, that we have video. So we will be offering commercials. We're partnering with our Synergy program and our students to give them the pregame commercial, which is you bring us your product, we put that on the board, or we'll allow our Synergy students for an additional cost to that advertiser to create the commercial for them. So not only are Synergy students getting the experience, obviously we're getting that in-house cost. It's really a win-win for everybody. $1,000 is also much cheaper than you can produce a commercial by outsourcing it. You'll see the other things listed below. We are doing game sponsors, so if you can imagine, this game is brought to you by this company for this evening. If you would like to do that for the entire year, we obviously offer that as well. And these sponsorships do impact both Forney and North Forney. So when you see these, you're not just getting a 5-game football season or a 10-game soccer season. You're getting a 10-game football season and a 20-game soccer, plus track and any other events that we have, as well as playoff games at Citibank Stadium. Our other athletic venues, the street-facing banners that you see for the baseball is obviously the Forney Bodark scoreboards that face Bodark just south of us. The gym signage, we currently do not have any gym signage, so this is a great opportunity for businesses that would really like to impact the volleyball and basketball crowd. Court banners, we also do not have any tennis at this time, and then the Brown and the Warren scoreboard. Fine arts, we thought it was important that they are obviously such a big part of our district that we include them in this packaging. The performing arts centers, the band trailers, as well as the halftime show. Do you have any questions at this time that I can answer?
Thank you, Kate. That's very comprehensive. Any questions from the board? Barbara Jo says thumbs up.
All right.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, hold on, we have a question.
Yes.
One question.
Yes.
All of these prices are annual because it only says that on the fine art.
All of these prices are annual, yes, and we'll add that at the beginning, that stat slide going backwards. I do have in to add that under all the sponsorship contracts will be a minimum of 3 years. But yes, as listed in the brochure, it is annual pricing. Mm-hmm.
We good?
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. We're moving on then to item 6E, announce the school board compliance and non-compliance of continuing education. I am pleased to announce at this time that all of the board members have completed or exceeded their required annual continuing education hours. So thank you very much, board members, for applying the time to get all of that done. Moving on then to item 7, consent agenda. Is approve the minutes for the March 4th meeting. Item 7B, approve minutes from March 4th regular meeting. 7C is approve the budget amendments. 7D is approve allotment and antique certification for 2019-2020. 7E is approve the Caleb Communications purchase. 7F, the statement of impact forms from charter schools that could have a major financial impact on Forney ISD. 1, there is the Uplift Education. 2 is the City Safe School, Inc. Do I have a motion to take these items separately or collectively?
Mr. Ferris, I would approve the consent agenda collectively.
Mr. Johnson's made a motion. We approve it collectively. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Green, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 8, consideration and possible approval of a contract to provide the wide area network connection services. At this time, Mr. John Chase will make our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. In your board packet for review, just point out that we have a wide area network connection, and that's basically fiber cable that connects our campuses back to our central hub here at the admin, and it just connects all of our schools together in our internal network. We lease those connections right now. A company called People's Communications. We're paying them a monthly fee. Because it's E-rated, which means the federal government reimburses us some of the cost for that connection, we were required to go out and bid that service periodically. The contract that we currently have with them, it expires in July, and so we went out for a bid for this service, advertised appropriately in the paper on February 21st and 28th, and then we received the bids back on March the 7th. We did have 3 companies that responded. People's Communication, which again is the company that we currently use, AT&T, and then Conterra. After we evaluated the purchases, we ranked People's Communications as the highest proposal. It's a 10-year contract. The total cost over that 10-year period will be $684,000. Like I said, it's E-ratable, which means that the federal government will reimburse us half of that cost at our level of support that we qualify for here at Forney ISD. The cost is essentially the same that we're paying now. I think the monthly fee is the same. There is some equipment costs that we will have to purchase that's separate and apart from this. But anyway, our recommendation is that we approve the contract with People's Communication for our wide area network connection for the next 10 years as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Ferris, I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Is the 10-year contract, is that typical for this type of service?
I think it varies across the you can probably get a whole lot of different flavors of that. What I would say is that the connection, like I said, that we have now, People's Communication owns the fiber. If we were to select either of the other two, I think AT&T they didn't even give us a dark fiber connection. Their lit fiber was going to be $1.7 million over that 10-year time period. And Conterra, if we would have got the same service, the dark fiber connection, it was going to be around $2 million because they've got to lay the lines and what have you. So it just makes sense, I think, because the cost that we're going to be able to avoid by not having the other people's lines in our that basically have to build them. So that's kind of why we landed on 10 years. There is options for us to extend it past that point, but certainly that's kind of what our thinking was on
Are there options to get out as well?
I think for the 10-year, I'm not sure that for that time period, I think we'd be locked in for that 10-year period. After that, it'd be year to year, but I don't think there was any options out that I'm aware of. You know, Kim?
No, but I will tell you, they are the only company that has a complete fiber ring in Forney. And everyone else wants us to help them build their ring, and it's much, much more expensive. So, they've been doing business with school districts for a very long time, and our rate is substantially lower with them than with anyone else. And so they're holding that rate steady as well for 10 years. So it's another advantage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
President Ferris, I have one. Just to drive home your point, just for clarification, this agreement, this 10-year structure makes us immune to cost increases, correct? So it's basically like,
That purchase price is a 10-year price, but it's billed monthly at $5,700 a month, $5,704 to be exact, but that's the monthly charge for the next 120 months, is my understanding, so.
so as technology prices increase, we're immune to that, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, we might have to upgrade some equipment in our network center, but the actual leasing of the lines wouldn't cost us any more, so
Awesome.
that's a good thing for sure.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, if there's no further questions, Dr. Terry, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Ferris, they've been great partners for us in the past for, years here, and the fact that they have a fiber ring is extremely important for our school district to keep us up and running. So we definitely want to recommend to continue our contract with this group as presented.
You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Chase and Dr. Terry. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion to approve the contract to provide the wide area network as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Do I have a second? Second. Ms. Dobbs? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 9, consider and possible approval of switches and wireless access points for Ray and Smith Elementaries. Mr. Chase will present.
This is another E-ratable service that we can qualify for. And again, our level of support would be 50% of the total cost. But in any event, the total cost to put the switches and the wireless access points necessary to operate the new additions at Ray and Smith, the total cost for both projects is $157,000, almost $158,000. And so what we did there is we put the service out on the DIR network and had different vendors give us proposals for the equipment we wanted. We do use Cisco equipment, so we kind of wanted to narrow the band down to only Cisco equipment. And so when we got the numbers back from them, Splendid Technologies, who's done work here in the district in the past, they were the lowest responsible proposal. So we're recommending that we select them to move forward with the project. It is over $100,000, and so it does require board approval, but our recommendation is that we would award Splendid Technologies the cost to put the switches and the access points in Ray and Smith for $157,836.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Any questions from the board?
Just one, Mr. Ferris. I'm assuming, Mr. Chase, this is bringing those two campuses to maintain our one-to-one that we're targeting for access?
Correct. I mean, the wireless in that new addition, that the access points and all would be necessary to support that for sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Terry, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Ferris, I'd recommend that we go ahead and approve the switches and access points with Splendid Technology to keep the expansions at Ray and Smith up to par with our other educational facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Terry. You've heard the recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Andrews, do I have a second? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 10, consideration and possible approval of additional 2019-2020 full-time equivalent positions. Mr. Chase will present the approved additional positions.
As we discussed in the budget workshop, we're asking for 20 additional positions over what we had asked for back in January. That would be 19 teaching positions and 1 professional support position. And our recommendation is that we approve that to give us the ability to go out and start finding qualified staff for our next school year.
Thank you, Mr. Chase, for your clarification. Any further questions from the board? And I hear none. Dr. Terry, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Fierce, I recommend the approval of these 20 positions. 19 of these are teachers, and as we continue to monitor our demographers' projections, really quarterly now, we are going to come back to you and try and stay up with our ratios, but more importantly, to meet the needs of our kids in the classrooms.
Thank you, Dr. Terry. Board, you've heard the recommendations. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the additional 2019-2020 full-time equivalent positions.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Do I have a second? Mr. Andrews? Had a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 11. This time, Mr. Chase will present the proposed approval for the superintendent to negotiate construction services at Johnson Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Von Gallagher just presented earlier about Johnson Elementary and some of the plumbing challenges that we have at that campus. We're not exactly certain what the appropriate fix is at this point, but we do want the ability to be able to address that quickly. And so, if you give the flexibility of the superintendent to make a purchase. If it's $100,000, so that granted him the authority to do that, that would give us the flexibility in order to fix that building. If it turns out that it's more than that, we'll maybe be asking for additional appropriation in the next budget year to address that. But at this point, we'd like for you to give the superintendent the authority to make the purchasing if it reaches up to $100,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Do you have any questions from the board? I hear none. Dr. Terry, what is your recommendation?
Recommend we approve the opportunity for us to negotiate construction services at Johnson as presented. This will give us a pretty quick reaction time before our next board meeting to address some of those challenges we've got right now with our plumbing.
So you've heard the recommendations. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve superintendent negotiating authority for the services of Johnson.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Regan? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 12, our closed session. 12A is consultation with our attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074. Item 12B, deliberations regarding ratification of employment professional contract personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.0174. 12C, deliberation regarding reemployment of professional contract personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters. And 12D, deliberation regarding superintendent's quarterly evaluations pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personal matters. It is now 8:08 p.m. and we'll convene into closed session. At this time, no voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take will result in discussions back in open forum following. Thank you very much. It's now 8:08.